Today's lesson is called A World-Changing Crisis. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger. And again, we're going to continue talking about the effects of the pandemic that spread around the world this year and is still affecting our lives. And I suppose everybody's wondering, gee, when is this thing going to get over? And after it is over or when it's under control, how is the world going to change? What changes are there going to be in the world? Can we lead normal lives again, or have our lives changed forever?
Yeah, I remember in 2007, 2008, during the Great Recession there, that people said things will never go back to being the way they were before. There's a new normal, and people are kind of saying the same thing now as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. They're saying there's going to be a new normal. Things can't go back to being the way that they were before. So for me, it's kind of like a new normal. Yes, my life has been altered significantly by these things, and yes, I've noticed that after 2007, 2008, people's attitudes towards certain things changed. And I think that after COVID-19, not only will people's attitudes change, but their behavior will change as well. Yeah, I think that hand washing will become a really big event in everyone's life. And I believe that handshakes, they are going to go the way of the dinosaurs. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break. But when we come back, we'll start reading from an article called A World-Changing Crisis.
A world-changing crisis. Around the world, schools, stores, and offices are closed. Sports games and movies are canceled. Planes are banned from flying. Almost every single person on the planet has felt the effects of the coronavirus, and it will take a while before the world returns to some kind of normal state. However, when we do emerge, we will have become accustomed to a very different way of living. Many of our old habits will have been broken, and we will have formed entirely new ones. The question is, what will this mean for our way of life in a post-coronavirus world?
大家好，第一部分我们看到形容词 accustomed 指习惯的、适应的，像是 become or get accustomed to 加名词或动词 ing 表示变得习惯、适应点点点。例如If you practice every day, you'll become accustomed to running long distances. 如果你每天练习，你就会习惯长跑。或是 It took some time for Edward to get accustomed to his new car. Edward 花了一些时间才习惯他的新车。另外，这个字去掉字尾 ed 就成了动词 accustom， 指使习惯。像是 be accustomed to something 就表示习惯于点点点。像是I am accustomed to coffee and a donut for breakfast each morning. 我每天早上都习惯早餐喝咖啡，吃甜甜圈。
Okay, the first paragraph more or less explains this topic to us or introduces this topic to us. So yes, indeed, we've got this crisis involving COVID-19, and it's a crisis that is going to change the world. So world changing, sticking a hyphen between the word world and change makes it an adjective, so world-changing crisis. Now, here it begins. Around the world, schools, stores, and offices are closed. Yes, that's what did happen before. Hopefully, lots of stores and schools and offices have opened, and sports games and movies are canceled. Yes, that did happen as well. My goodness, that was so hard for me to deal with because I was always checking the scores. What were yesterday's NHL scores? You know, did Boston beat Philadelphia or something like that? But hey, the sports leagues all stopped. They kind of postponed their seasons for a while. So indeed, some of the seasons were actually canceled or maybe postponed for a later time. The Olympics were postponed until next year. So indeed, lots of things happened as a result of this world-changing crisis.
Yep, around the world, a lot of places are closed up, and sports games and movies, well, they're canceled. Okay, the COVID-19 pandemic really did a number on the world. Now, planes there's more. Planes, airplanes are banned from flying, i.e., hey, stay grounded there. Planes, by the way, if you are banned from doing something, you're not allowed to do that thing. You are prohibited from doing that thing. So here, planes are banned from flying. They're not allowed to fly, okay? That's the idea here. Some planes are banned from flying, so it's really hard to do anything. Some people are stuck in their apartments. They're being quarantined, and if you want to watch something on TV, maybe you can Netflix and chill, but you're not going to turn on that TV and see a live sporting event because most of those sports games have been canceled. Further, let's say you are tired of Netflixing and chilling at home. Can you go to a theater and see a new movie? No way. The COVID-19 pandemic, it has affected us all. Almost every single person on the planet has felt the effects of the coronavirus, and it will take a while before the world returns to some kind of normal state. And I talked about this during the introduction, a normal state. Sometimes people call that a normal, and some people think that, yes, the world has changed and it's not going to change back. People believe that there is a new normal or that there will be a new normal.
Yeah, it is kind of disappointing in a way. Once this problem is over, life is just simply not going to return to normal. But on the other hand, it might bring about some positive changes, and that's kind of what we're talking about in today's lesson. So indeed, it will take some time. It will take a while before the world returns to a normal state, albeit with some changes. However, when we do emerge, we will have become accustomed to a very different way of living. So here we've got the word emerge, and we're using the do verb here to emphasize this. We could say, however, when we emerge, but we want to emphasize the act of emerging. So when we do emerge, or if you do hear something about it, let me know. So here, of course, emerge means to come out. For example, sometimes rocks will emerge when the tide goes out next to the ocean.
There you go. So when we do emerge, we will beat this. We will emerge. We will have become accustomed to a different way of living. By the way, if you were accustomed to something, you are now used to that thing, okay? You've adapted, and now something that might have made you uncomfortable is okay with you now. So before, people thought nothing of walking up to another person and saying, hey, shake my hand, give me a handshake, nice to meet you, Bob. Are people going to be doing that in the future? Probably not, and for a while that will be awkward. Okay, here in Taiwan, I don't think anyone will mind, but in the United States, it'll be weird to meet someone for the first time and not get that handshake. That will be strange, so we'll have to get used to that new state of affairs. We'll have to get accustomed to it. So yes, what we emerge into, that world, is going to be a totally different place.
So yes, we'll have to reaccustom ourselves to a different way of living. No more handshakes, and many of our old habits will have been broken, and we will have formed entirely new ones. So yeah, the habit of the handshake, as we've been talking about, will probably disappear, and then we're going to have some new habits. For example, always remember to bring a face mask with you when you leave. Try not to touch your face too much. Always remember to wash your hands frequently, etc., etc. Those are some new habits that we have begun.
Now, the question is, what will this mean for our way of life in a post-coronavirus world? Yes, I do believe that we'll all get over the fact that we won't be shaking hands left and right, but how about other things besides just handshaking, which is trivial? How else will our lives have changed, okay? What will all of this mean for our way of life in a post-coronavirus world? Again, that is the question, and let's start to answer that right now. Actually, let's go ahead and take a short break for now, and then when we come back, we will start to answer this question. Anyways, folks, stay put. We'll be back soon.
Education. Even though online education tools were beginning to gain popularity before the coronavirus crisis, the closing down of schools across the globe forced teachers to rely more on technology to engage with their students. As a result, many are beginning to realize the shortcomings of online education, the importance of the classroom experience, and the vital role that teachers play. Post-coronavirus, students can expect more of their learning to take place in online environments, and developments in technology aimed to create new and better online learning experiences will likely appear too.
第二部分，我们看到一个单字 popularity， 这个字是名词，指普及、流行、受欢迎。我们可以说 The politician's popularity among voters is due to her honesty. 那位政治人物在选民中的人气是因为他的诚实，或是 Because of the restaurant's popularity, you should call ahead to book a table. 因为那家餐厅很受欢迎，你应该事先打电话订位。另外，补充一个相关片语 gain popularity among 加名词，表示受到点点点喜爱，在点点点受到欢迎的。举例来说This online game has gained enormous popularity among teens. 这个网络游戏在青少年间极受欢迎。再来，我们看到一个名词 globe， 指地球，写作 the globe。例如 Although Tim's family lives in Canada, he lives on the other side of the globe. 虽然 Tim 的家人住在加拿大，但他住在地球的另一边。另外，这个字除了上面的意思，还可以指地球仪、球体。举例来说The man chose the destination of his next trip by spinning a globe and seeing where his finger landed. 那名男子转动地球仪，看他手指点到哪里，下一趟旅行就去那里。或是 One of the works of art in the museum is a large globe made of colored glass. 博物馆内其中一个艺术品是用彩绘玻璃制成的大型球体。接下来我们看到一个单字 shortcoming， 这个字是名词，指缺点、弱点、短处。像是 The report I gave had a few shortcomings, but my boss generally liked it. 我写的报告有几项缺点，但整体上我老板还算喜欢。或是 This laptop's biggest shortcoming is that it's quite heavy. 这台笔电最大的缺点是太重了。最后我们看到片语 take place， 表示发生、举行，主词通常为事先计划或安排好的事物。举例来说The party will take place on Sunday afternoon at Jerry's house. 派对会于星期天下午在 Jerry 的家中举行。另外，补充两个同义动词，常在表示无预期发生的事。第一 happen, H-A-P-P-E-N, happen, 像是 A car accident happened this morning, and 2 people were hurt. 今天早上发生一起车祸，有2个人受伤。第二 occur, O-C-C-U-R, occur. 我们可以说 A robbery occurred at 6:30 p.m. yesterday. 昨晚6点半发生了一起抢案。
Okay, so again, we're trying to tell you how the world is probably going to change after the world emerges from the COVID-19 pandemic. So one aspect in which the world is going to change is in education. Of course, how we learn information, how our kids get educated in school and stuff like that. And as you know, everybody, of course, had to take classes online and stuff like that in various parts of the world. Although not so much here in Taiwan, but in other countries, yes, indeed, all classes shifted to the internet. So here, even though online education tools were beginning to gain popularity before the coronavirus crisis, the closing down of schools across the globe forced teachers to rely more on technology to engage with their students. So indeed, learning online wasn't new because of the pandemic. It had been going on before the pandemic, okay? It was around there, but still basically people went to classes in the buildings, in the auditoriums, and in the classrooms. They actually went there with their classmates and their teachers, and they were learning things face to face. But indeed, online education, or the tools for online education, were gaining popularity before the coronavirus showed up. So here, popularity just refers to how popular something is. We could say that the singer gained in popularity after the release of her first album.
Yes, online education, hey, that was already a thing. before the coronavirus crisis. But the closing down of schools across the world forced teachers to rely more on technology to engage with their students. Yeah, have you heard tell of this Zoom program there, Roger? I believe that a lot of these online classes are being conducted by way of Zoom, which is kind of like a multi-person Skype where you can have multiple people interacting online. And apparently Zoom has been able to make this happen. It's a good piece of software.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before the pandemic, but of course after the pandemic showed up, everybody was talking about Zoom. You had these symphony orchestras using Zoom to perform symphonies and stuff like that online there, as well as teachers and students getting together for class using this particular program. And I think there are other ones as well, but indeed that's kind of the point here. Education tools did exist before, but now the teachers were forced to rely more on that technology to engage with their students. And here we've got the phrase to engage with. That just means to interact with somebody.
There you go. Zoom helps people to engage with one another online. You've got your video feed and your audio feed. It's kind of like you're in the same space in a classroom, but you're not. It's all done virtually on the computer. Now, as far as Zoom is concerned, I heard that there were some privacy concerns, but still, people use this to hold classes, and I think that it was somewhat of a success. Anyways, though, the next sentence says, as a result, many are beginning to realize the shortcomings of online education, the importance of the classroom experience, and the vital role that teachers play. So in an ideal world, will we only get our education online in the future? No, human interaction is very important. So Zoom is a great piece of technology, sure, but there are shortcomings of online education, okay? Can you learn everything you need to learn online? Maybe all that information is out there, but that human element is missing. Yes, there is something missing, or there is a shortcoming in that way.
Yeah, a shortcoming, that's just something you're missing or something or someone is missing. It's basically a flaw or something that's just not perfect. It does not meet a standard. We can often say that, hey, I've got lots of shortcomings, but I'm still a really wonderful person. But in this particular case, we're talking about the shortcomings of online education. It's not perfect. There are flaws. There are shortcomings with online education. And of course, we have to realize the importance of the classroom experience and the vital important role that teachers play. Indeed, how do you get a doctor to teach a medical school student how to do a heart transplant? Okay, you just can't do it online. Everybody's got to be right there in the operating room to do it. You just can't do it through a smartphone screen.
And yes, post-coronavirus students can expect more of their learning to take place in online environments, and developments in technology aimed to create new and better online learning experiences will likely appear too. So, are you only going to go to school online in the future? No, but you could expect that in the post-coronavirus world that more and more learning will be done online. And I think that the world was moving in this direction, actually. The cost of education in the United States to actually go to a brick-and-mortar school was becoming so expensive that online alternatives just made financial sense. I thought more and more people were moving in that direction even before the coronavirus pandemic.
Right, so I guess we're going to learn which kind of educational experiences work online and which ones don't. So indeed, some of them will actually work online. I imagine maybe language lessons will work online. You just simply repeat after the teacher or do substitution drills or stuff like that. So indeed, lots of learning will occur or happen or take place in online environments. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how education develops once the pandemic is a thing of the past.
All right, everyone, with that, this part of our lesson is now complete. But don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。几乎世界上所有的人都受到了新冠病毒的影响。课文就写到 However, When we do emerge, we will have become accustomed to a very different way of living. 好，句子里面用到助动词 do， 在这边是强调语气，摆在主要动词之前呢，就可以表达出确实怎么样，的确是怎么样的语义。好，那么来看单字 emerge， 它有出现、浮现、露出、显露的意思。我们来学习它的字首字根。好，看到 merg或是 mers 这一类的字根呢，它有下沉、下降、骤降的意思。在 emerge 这个字当中，它的字首 e 表示向外， merge emerge 这个部分表示下沉。我们想想看哦，当某个东西它从下沉的状态向外向上浮出来，应该可以联想到 emerge 它有出现、浮现的意思吧。好，我们在 emerge 后面接名词字尾 ency 会变成 emergency， 那就是紧急状况咯。同学们可以试着联想，某件事情它原本是隐没的状态，都没有被注意到，那当它突然冒出来，就需要立即的关注，需要紧急处理。我们就用这样的方式去联想到 emergency 它有紧急状况的意思了。顺便补充其他有这一类字根的单字。第一个补充的是 submerge， S-U-B-M-E-R-G-E。 好，它的字首 S-U-B 表示下方， M-E-R-G-E 表示下沉，往下方沉下去，应该可以联想到 submerge 它有淹没、沉入水中的意思咯。第二个补充的是 merger， M-E-R-G-E-R。 好，它的字根 M-E-R-G 表示下沉， E-R 是名词字尾。好，那所以这个字是下沉的意思吗？好，其实把它合在一起 merger 它是指合并并购。同学们可以想象，当某一家公司它被并购，就好像没入了另外一间公司而消失不见了。那我们就试着用这样的语义来看出字根 M-E-R-G 的意思咯。好，第三个补充的是 immersion， I-M-M-E-R-S-I-O-N。 好，它的字首 I-M 表示进入， M-E-R-S 表示下沉，那么 I-O-N 是名词字尾。当我们心思进入到另外一个世界，然后完全沉浸在这里面，你就可以联想到 immersion 它有这个专心沉浸或是陷入的语义了。好，另外课文里面呢，它有用到 post-coronavirus 来指后新冠病毒。那这个字首 post P-O-S-T 它表示在什么什么之后，那常常会跟其他字来合用，来表达在某个时间、日期或是事件之后。所以像 post-coronavirus 就是指后新冠病毒时期， post-1990 就是1990后， post-workout 是说在运动后， post-lunch 在午餐后等等。好，我们来造个例句。 Taking a post-dinner walk every day can have many beneficial health effects. 每天在晚餐后呢，散步有许多的有益健康的影响哦。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Ban. Smoking has been banned in most public places across the city. Emerge. When bears emerge from their long winter sleep, the first thing they do is to look for food. Accustomed. Ben will need to get accustomed to the long working hours when he starts his new job. Popularity. The singer's popularity increased once he started making pop music instead of country. Globe. The effects of climate change are being felt across the globe. Shortcoming. One of the shortcomings of the plan was that it was going to cost the company a lot of money.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.